Why do certain seasons of life feel quieter and yet somehow deeper? Hmm. Why does beauty sometimes become more meaningful precisely when impermanence becomes visible? Because this is not a message about endings. No. This is a message about autumn. And there is a difference, a big one. You see, autumn, autumn is the consequence of a cycle, not punishment, no. Not collapse, no. Consequence. Autumn is the visible result of what was planted, what was stewarded, what was neglected, what was preserved, or what was allowed to dissipate. Hmm. Autumn quietly asks, what did your season become? Because summer expands life, but autumn reveals what that expansion actually produced. Autumn is not performative identity. It's not promises. It's not appearances. No. Autumn is reality. Autumn is harvest. Autumn is visible consequence. Autumn does not arrive violently. No. It arrives gradually. The light changes. The air sharpens. The evenings lengthen. And suddenly life begins feeling more reflective, more textured, more conscious of time. Not tragic, no. Truthful. You see, summer celebrates life. Autumn, autumn sits beside the fire and understands it. That is the difference. Autumn understands something summer often forgets, which is that beauty becomes deeper when gratitude enters the room. Because conscious autumn remembers the harvest was not automatic. The warmth was not guaranteed. The abundance did not appear accidentally. Something sustained it. Something cultivated. Something remained in relationship with the cycle itself. There are forms of luxury that cannot be purchased performatively. Harvest is one of them. The contact with earth, the gathering of consequence, the transformation of labor into nourishment. That is luxury too. Not polished like a tiara, no, but perhaps deeper than one. There is something profoundly human about watching grapes become wine, about watching olives become oil, about watching fields become nourishment, about watching seasons become memory. Autumn reminds people that life was never meant to be consumed unconsciously. It was meant to be inhabited. There are certain things that only autumn seems capable of returning to a person. The smell of chestnuts, wood smoke against colder evenings, new wine shared between people who understand that harvest means. The strange way memory arrives through senses before it arrives through thought. It reminds me, my grandmother had a large countryside property in Ribatejo, in Central Portugal. Olives, grapes, wine, pomegranates, olive oil, chestnuts. Memories. And perhaps that is why autumn never feels melancholic to me. It feels inhabited. Inhabited like stewardship, becoming visible through the land itself. I still remember, as a young boy, crushing grapes with my feet. Perhaps that memory remained alive for reasons deeper than nostalgia. Because autumn teaches something more than life often forgets. Autumn teaches that human beings were meant to participate in existence, not merely observe it. Perhaps wisdom is not a rejection of life. Perhaps wisdom is finally learning how to sit beside it consciously. And that is autumn. Not cold withdrawal, warm awareness. The kind of warm awareness that understands that beauty matters more when impermanence becomes visible. You see, autumn does not reject pleasure, no. Autumn matures it. Summer intoxicates. Autumn nourishes. Whiskey beside the fire. Long conversations beneath amber light. Chestnuts warming colder hands. Candles replacing sunlight. Wine replacing celebration with reflection. Not less beautiful, more meaningful. Autumn also understands that stewardship never stops. Wise people do not panic when winter approaches. No. They prepare. They prepare not fearfully, no. They prepare consciously. Because autumn understands that cycles continue. And therefore, what was harvested must now be protected wisely. Every season eventually asks for accounting, not punishment, accounting. And autumn quietly asks, what did you do with the life that passed through your hands? That question alone reaches deeper than ambition ever will. Summer can make life feel magnificent. But autumn makes life feel textured, layered, embodied. With autumn, a person begins noticing warmth differently, silence differently, conversation differently, beauty differently, time differently. Because autumn carries awareness inside the atmosphere itself. There are people who consume beautiful lives, and there are people who inhabited them consciously. Autumn reveals the difference. Because eventually, performance exhausts itself, but inhabited life deepens. Winter preserves the fire. Spring reopens the heart. Summer expands the experience of life, but autumn gathers the meaning. Perhaps this is why autumn feels so profoundly human. Because autumn is the season where pleasure becomes wisdom, where abundance becomes stewardship, where warmth becomes gratitude, and where memory becomes living atmosphere. Not sentimental, not necessarily, but alive. And perhaps this is the deepest truth of autumn, is that life becomes most beautiful not when it feels permanent, but when it is finally appreciated consciously. That awareness does not destroy beauty. No. That awareness deepens it. And for those who require reflection beyond what is shared here, there are forms of work not conducted in public. Access exists. Do not fear autumn. Autumn is not the death of the cycle. Autumn is the visible wisdom of the cycle. Autumn is the season where life sits beside the fire with gratitude, with consequence, with memory, with warmth, and finally understands what the seasons were trying to teach all along.